Yeah, we'll just crack into it and see what happens, I guess. I got
Okay.
bad news,
Ah.
dude. The price of our Zoom membership is going up $1
Oh,
a month.
fuck.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to start hooking again.
Shit.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Going pretty swell, man. Not gonna lie. Been really reinvigorated as
Yeah,
far as fantasy football goes.
that's
I
good.
mean, the life is the rookie draft, you know?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
grind is the rookie tape. Now we got the landing spots. Failed to make any meaningful trades to position myself where I want to be as usual. So I'm gonna have to do overpays during a live draft as usual. And I'm
Hey,
I'm I'm looking forward to these are the things I love. These are the things I enjoy.
you got to. You got to.
How are you doing, Christian?
I'm doing well, man. Excited for our first rookie draft tomorrow. This episode will be out probably not when it's done, but at least the first round will probably be cooked through. We should go through pretty quick. But excited for that. Had a birthday. How was Washington, man? Tell the
It was
people.
great, man. A lot of stone stacked on stone. Beautiful old school architecture
Hell
and
yeah.
a lot of information, man. I read a lot of placards and looked at a lot of maps, and I gotta tell you, it was pretty cool. I think it was a necessary trip to take, just a pilgrimage almost, like a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime deal. So
What
hopefully I'll
was
never
uh
go back.
what
Uh,
was one fact you learned? Just a
Oh,
favorite
okay.
fact.
One fact I learned is do you know this the like the Dominican Republic
Uh-huh.
is an
I know of it.
island with two nations.
Uh-huh.
That you got Haiti. Oh yeah, okay, Hispaniola, the island of Hispaniola. You got
Yeah.
Haiti and then the Dominican Republic on the other side.
Okay.
And the Dominican Republic is very more modernized side, and the Haitian side is very third world
Uh-huh.
y. And the reason for that is because there was a successful like rebellion of the enslaved population in Haiti back in like the 1800s, the
Huh.
1820s or whatever. And because of that, as a French colony, it was so demeaning to the French economy that is what led to the Louisiana Purchase,
Huh.
the United States buying that huge landmass. So
Hmm.
I learned that, and I thought that was extremely interesting because I always wondered, like, how did we buy all this land
Yeah.
west of the Mississippi River for like $15 million? You know, like we
Yeah.
really got one over on them. But yeah, they were just, I guess they lost a lot of revenue from the sugar cane
Huh.
production in that area when that rebellion happened. So
Hmm.
that was one very interesting thing I learned.
The domino effect. That's pretty crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, here on History Hit, no, no, we are. That was the very cool, but that is not why we are here. We are here, maybe a little late compared to some people, but here to talk about the NFL draft that was last week, and yeah, it was an interesting one. So we're just basically this episode is going to be our thoughts, going to go position by position, and just kind of talk about some random tidbits, just stuff we like, stuff we maybe didn't like. Uh, and so without further ado, we're gonna get it started off in the quarterback room. So Cam Ward goes number one overall to the Titans, fairly predictable. Everyone saw it coming from a mile away. I did like that the Titans did a decent job of trying to add some young weapons with him. I mean, we'll get into some of these guys later, but they got Chimere Dike, like on Io Manor and Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent. So I thought they did a nice job trying to, build him a team, a young team to try to grow with him.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I mean, totally called it on the Restrepo thing, man. I don't know
Yeah.
if you that was wild, but very cool move for a team to pull in your college wide receiver for
Yeah.
free
Uh-huh.
post draft. But yeah, I think that what they did with Cam Ward and then getting him a little bit of support, kind of all over the offensive skill position
Hmm.
side, that was awesome. It gives me a little more excitement. We were big fans on Ellick, so
Yeah.
I hope that I think he gets. I mean, we'll probably about him later, but I think he does have opportunity to assert himself here and get
Yeah.
something special going with Cam Ward.
I think so. For him falling so far, I think it's nice that he landed somewhere where they're looking to transition anyway, so they might lean towards a younger guy if he starts to show out. Secondly, we had the Giants trade back up and take Jackson Dart at the end of the first round. My only question here is like, is he going to be starting by November?
No,
No?
no.
You don't think?
No. It's like Russell Wilson and like Winston's getting cut, right?
Sure, and that even more if he does even more, I think. I mean, we know what Russell Wilson is. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is the point? You're Brian Daboll trying to save your job, and you're just going to rely on Russell Wilson? I don't see it. I feel like he does. I feel like by November he'll be starting.
So, okay. Well, I like Jackson Dart. I mean, it's been a very interesting offseason. We like him
Hmm.
more today than we liked him a week ago. I think
Yeah,
we have to say that for
yeah,
sure. I guess we'll get to the fun conversation later on, but I guess if you think about, yeah, having neighbors
yeah.
and the potential with all these random um, guys in this wide receiver room, and then adding some pretty stout pass catchers in the backfield for the
Uh-huh.
Giants.
Yeah.
Um, there's some potential for him to kind of pop off. You just think Russell Wilson's totally cooked, and he probably is, but
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, unless they're winning, but I guess I just don't see them winning that much. I think
well,
they're st Go ahead.
they got a hell of a defensive front
For
all of a
sure.
sudden.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, there's a chance. I think they might win more games, but I don't see them being, I don't know, they're gonna win what, 7, 8 games? Maybe. Like,
Yeah, but that's always that weird division that produces a second
yeah.
playoff team.
I mean, that's
Just,
fair. I
but
don't know.
I'm
I
with you. I do like him, and I think what you're saying is that he's worth a look in single quarterback drafts in the third round.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right, all right.
Might as well try to go out there and get a guy because he'll be starting next year at the very least, and
Yeah,
he'll have Malik Neighbors and he'll have Scattaboo and Tracy in the backfield, and then hopefully they bring him in another big target, and then Tyler Johnson coming back, yeah, Tyler Johnson, is that right? Theo
Theo
Johnson
Johnson. Yeah,
coming
yeah.
back, that could be good for him. So yeah, I don't know. He's definitely stock on the rise for sure.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Sorry, I did. Yes, he'll be starting by November.
No, I mean you can
Way to be.
disagree. I just
You
was
think,
curious.
yeah, he could be the Bo Nix of this draft, just kind of out of nowhere, some stability in a team that hasn't had it in a long time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Russell
it,
Wilson, who?
he does have a decent rushing ability too. So, I mean, we'll get into him further down the line, but next
Writing that
off
down.
the board, surprisingly, after the train started building was Tyler Shuck for the New Orleans Saints. I think he's too old and too bad to rely on long term, but he's gonna start at some point this year. Like unless Derek Carr's injury just disappears and he's still on the team and still wants to play. So I mean, in Superflex leagues, he's worth a stab just to see like I don't know, if you need a quarterback super bad and you just need a guy to start, like he's definitely worth stashing later in your rookie drafts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could probably be the week one starter,
Potentially, yeah.
That's pretty much what we're looking at. I mean, Spencer Rattler could make the leap, the sophomore leap, but
Potentially, maybe. I don't think
I don't
so.
I don't know. I reread my profile on Tyler here, and there was like an amount of optimism, and it's not really his fault that he's this old. It's like what 26 or whatever.
Yeah.
Going out, it's like the injuries stifled BS and changing teams several times. But I mean, yeah. All right, I'm with you. Sorry, I
Yeah.
wasn't really hot on these quarterbacks. You got me heating up
You're
in real
good.
time. I got to adjust to this.
Well, we'll cook through these next ones because I don't know that they're going to get a ton of starting time. I will throw out Jalen Milrow in the third round to the Seahawks. I like that. The
Yeah.
coaches are gushing over him
Dude, I
already.
mean, Sam Darnold, if it was a KOC kind of puppet show,
Yeah,
and I mean, Drew Lock, like, come on, dude. I don't know how he ended up back over there. That's kind of weird. But anyway, I mean, desperate times, there's this team has gone through a ton of changes and
yeah.
they can find a way to make it work with him.
I
Let's do
mean,
it.
I remember a time when the Seahawks paid big money to a quarterback who showed it for one game, and Darnold did it for a whole year, and then started their third round rookie over him. And that guy's name was Russell Wilson. So maybe they'll do it again with
Yeah.
Milrow and Sam Darnold. You remember Matt Flynn? I remember
Yeah.
that. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I
Um,
thought we were going back to the Warren Moon days, dude. I mean,
oh,
let's just
geez.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go all the way back to Seattle.
Well, then, so then the next two quarterbacks off the board went to the same team, which is kind of weird. Third round, Dylan Gabriel to the Browns, and then Shadur Sanders to the Browns. Shadur's not this bad, right?
Dude, can we talk about this?
Like,
Obviously, we're not the only people in the world talking about this, but Dylan Gabriel, sucks.
yeah,
And he's left-handed.
yeah, yeah,
Like, so I know, I know a couple of lefties, in my family and some that haven't yet been discovered by us people that are, getting rid of them. But, there's been a lot of talk about like the struggles that Mike McDaniels has gone through to like make his offense work with Tua Tagovailoa because he's left-handed and
yeah,
like how the receivers have to get out of their breaks in a certain way like to look differently because of the left-handedness. I don't
yeah,
know. It feels like such a wild card that to accommodate it and make it successful like for a guy that I didn't think he had a nice little season there, but he was wearing the Senior Bowl helmet with both teams on it.
mm,
And at that point, I was just out on the guy,
you're just
period.
done.
But then, like, in the film review, I wasn't blown away at all. I didn't think he was
Yeah,
that good. And then you've got Sanders, which obviously this isn't a talent issue because I mean he's not super talented,
yeah,
but he was super consistent
yeah,
and fairly successful and obviously has a million red flags and is a complete diva like his pops but like what are the Browns like what are we doing here like
it's very weird.
this is their quarterback like they could build their franchise around this guy maybe they had like Deshaun Watson fatigue. They didn't want
Maybe, yeah,
to like go too all in on a guy that might be, damning to the franchise in a
yeah,
way. Um, there's they just can't get it right at quarterback, but this guy just fell to them at the fifth round. They got to just let this all cool off, let the dust settle, get back to real football, and
and
build
just
a
let it
playbook
play
around
out.
this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, give him a year with Joe Flacco and see what happens. Because this is silly, man.
Oh
If
yeah.
if Trey Lance was a top three draft pick, then what are we like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's not be weird. Let's not be too weird. Let's take a risk.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it. I could not believe it.
No, pretty much the same. I mean, I think he's better than a fifth round pick. He's probably closer to a second. And then
Yes.
the fiasco around him. And I think there's a non-0% chance that he starts this season. You know, Flacco being old, Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. I don't think Deshaun Watson's ever going to suit up again. And I'm sorry, if it's a QB battle between Sanders and Gabriel, then I know who I'm taking in that battle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very weird. I kind of hope it might push Sanders' value down in Superflex leagues. Maybe you can snag him late and then just kind of wait and see on him. Uh, I don't know.
I
Should be
mean, how
interesting.
late?
I don't know, like second, third round.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I think, yeah, I think early second, right? With the way
Yeah,
these running backs are stacking up, I mean,
yeah. There's a stank on him for sure.
it smells.
Yeah. All right, three more quarterbacks that we can just briefly mention. Will Howard in the sixth of the Steelers. Don't like him, but I don't like Rudolph either. Riley Leonard to the Colts if the wheels fall off in Indy with Richardson and Jones. And then Quinn Ewers, didn't like him either. But I mean, he does have a injury-prone Tua and a Zach Wilson in front of him in Miami. So like again, there's a non-0% chance that he could see some playing time. I mean, Skylar Thompson played a few games for the Dolphins lately. So like, I don't know. It was just worth throwing out there. These guys are like super dart throws, but they could see the field. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers decides to go do ayahuasca this season and the Steelers are left with Howard and Rudolph, I don't know. Why not just give Howard the time?
Yeah, yeah, the NFL needed the quarterback version of this running back class, and they didn't get it. So,
Yeah.
but the needy teams still, I mean, they got pretty much free money if any of these guys hit. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't have to get too far into it. I mean, Will Howard's coming off a national championship.
Mm.
Riley Leonard played lights out down the stretch, and Quentin Ewers. I mean, I bet you could scheme him into success in the Dolphins' offense. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, man. Any of these guys are worth a stash if you got a taxi squad in a super flex league
Oh,
or
100%.
fourth round picks or whatever. Drop
Yeah.
them next year if they don't work out.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? All right, so we'll move on to the actual meat of the episode. We'll go to the running back room, and to no one's surprise, the first guy off the board was Ashton Genty to the Raiders. I love this landing spot. Pete Carroll's going to run him into the ground, which I think is great.
I
Um,
love that we're saying it as a good thing now, you know.
well, he'll get a lot of points. I mean, I just hope you hope his body can hold up. And then not really surprising either, Amarion Hampton going in the first round to the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think he's the starter by midseason over Harris.
Sure. I mean, I don't see a reason that they can't start with the 60-40
Yeah.
that becomes a 70-30 to Hamden's favor. Just takes probably a little bit of trust because I mean, the Chargers are kind of a like a perennial sad face. So
Uh-huh.
that you're gonna have to, I mean, but both these guys are new to this team. You know, there's no reason he couldn't just start the season as the number
True.
one if that's how it goes. Harris obviously has a lot to prove, but 1 year deal. Why not just leave him on the back burner for I don't know. I don't know. Yes,
Fair
I
enough.
like
Yeah,
this
I
spot.
mean,
It's great.
yeah, it's great. I'm not you're not wrong that he could end up just being the guy. But I mean those two are pretty chalky and there's not a lot to talk about. Great landing spots. And great draft capital and kind of what we expected. So the first real conversation we get into, we had two running backs go, two picks from each other. They both went to the same college. We had Quinshawn Judkins go in the second round, fourth overall to the Cleveland Browns, and then Travion Henderson, second round, sixth overall to the Patriots. This is where I think it starts to get interesting because I know who I lean here, but it's pretty close to me in terms of like how good these guys are and how good their landing spots are. What are your feelings on them?
I mean, obviously, both these guys are awesome. They've made it really far in our rookie tournament.
Hmm
Quinshawn had a better path, and he made some pretty sizable defeats. He stacked up against some big time challenges. Um, so I think that a lot of people are more excited about him, but just fundamentally, I think Henderson is kind of the better back. But then if you look at who these guys are joining, I would take the guy versus Jerome Ford, obviously, over the guy versus Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson. I think in New England, Henderson is going to find himself as the lead back, but I don't know if that's a bell cow role. It's more of maybe a 1A. Whereas
Hmm.
Judkins, I think you end up with a bell cow role, and full ownership of the backfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we've seen Stefanski do this for his whole coaching period. I mean, it was always with Nick Chubb, but Judkins kind of is a perfect Nick Chubb replacement. Not saying he is Nick Chubb. One of the biggest Nick Chubb stands out there. But in terms of like great burst, rushing ability, consistent producers, and he just might not be in on third down that much. Like when they're in obvious passing situations, they may pull Judkins and put in Sampson, who they also took, we'll get into later. Uh, so to me, it's like I like that spot for Judkins because it just makes a lot of sense and we've seen it before. Whereas Henderson, yeah, he's going to a newer offense, a better offense, and Drake May is a way more interesting quarterback, and he brings a lot of explosiveness to this offense. Henderson does, but even like okay, Henderson's a better pass catcher, great. Drake May runs a lot though. Like he's not a guy that's going to do a ton of checkdowns necessarily because a lot of that's going to be built into his rushing ability. So it just I'm worried that like Judkins might get more consistent work. Now this year specifically, is Judkins going to score a lot of touchdowns? That's a huge question mark because the Browns might be pretty bad again, especially on offense. Their offensive line is still good, but it's not amazing anymore. And it's kind of getting older. The team, I mean, you're relying on the quarterback room of Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Shadur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. Like, I don't know what that's going to produce. So it's a really interesting. These guys couldn't have landed in more flummoxing spots to me, especially sitting at where I am in the for the belt draft. So I keep going back and forth. I do lean Henderson. I liked Henderson more on tape than in Judkins, and I'm trying not to let landing spot because it's not Henderson didn't get a bad landing spot either. They have pretty equal landing spots, but just something about Judkins on the Browns is really spicy to me.
Yeah, I mean it's spicy. I mean we're talking about landing spots and quarterbacks and competition and coaching and what not, but the wide receiver room in Cleveland was not aided through this draft in hardly any way, unless you're counting Harold Fanning in there. But we're talking about like potentially Jamari Thrash and
Hmm.
Cedric Tillman alongside Jerry Judy. So the opportunity to lean on Judkins seems a little more prevalent in compared with New England, where they're trying to get an up and coming, passer, some new weapons, a little bit of excitement, which we'll get into, a little bit later. But pretty good draft capital on a wide receiver going that way. So I don't know. I could see the potential for Judkins to hit the ground running in a big way this year as kind of the face of that offense, whereas Henderson will probably be more efficient as he always has been, but maybe not as utilized.
Gotcha. Well, we had an interesting guy go off as the fourth running back off the board. A little
Interesting,
bit of a
yes.
surprise. RJ Harvey goes in the second round, 28th overall, to the Denver Broncos. It's great. The capital, the coach, the team, age is his only downside, but you can easily use him for 3 years, if not a little more. And the Broncos, I wanted to highlight this. The Broncos targeted the running back room in the passing game third most in the NFL, and Javonte Williams had 70 of those targets. And so Harvey is a guy that proved to be decent or to good in the passing game, if not great, and a great runner. And you know that Sean Payton has a really good history with running backs. I mean, he's the guy that took Reggie Bush, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. All these guys were really successful under him, and he clearly needed something more out of the running back room, and Harvey gives him a lot.
Yeah, no, can't argue with that, man. Pretty pumped. I think that you know how I felt about Harvey.
Hmm.
Probably was higher on him than most pre-draft. And now, I mean, this capital is pretty insane. I was shocked to see him the 60th player off the board.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's got to be the 103 now. I mean, clearly, like, what are we doing here? Let's just get this man on your rosters, whatever it takes, hell or high water. Um, but no, I'm giddy about Harvey. I thought he was extremely uh, patient in his approach to the game and extremely productive. 2 years in a row, big time production. So I think that he can be relied upon in this offense that is definitely going places. I thought it was kind of interesting. The AFC West is getting down and dirty on these running backs. So they took three out of the top five with Harvey and then Genty and Hampton. So um, I don't know, man. I guess maybe they're trying to rally the run game, a little clock management against their big division rivals and the Chiefs. Maybe they saw a little bit in the Super Bowl that they thought they could, I don't know, lean into as far as keeping the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hands by
Yeah.
keeping the ball on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, like you just mentioned, we saw Saquon Barkley take the world by storm. I think running backs are back in vogue, which is great, I think. And so yeah, I think it was a clear target, like you're saying, for the rest of the AFC West teams, and maybe that is kind of the plan. Like if we can just keep Mahomes and then offense off the field long enough, and actually be productive on the ground instead of just running it and giving it back, then it's a good strategy. One that the Pittsburgh Steelers might also be implying a little bit,
Yeah.
with Caleb Johnson going next in the third round, 19th overall, only running back in the third round. Thought that was pretty crazy.
Yes.
Like this landing spot a ton. Warren is 26, and he's never been the guy. If you listen to Mike Tomlin in his post-draft press conferences, he consistently called Caleb Johnson a high volume guy, uh, which is the exact terminology we want to hear. And they lost their running back leader in targets in Najee Harris. Um, I somehow Caleb Johnson's value is like sliding in dynasty drafts right now, which I don't really understand. This seems like
It's
the perfect
bonkers.
landing spot for him.
Yeah.
Kind of that zone run scheme. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm crazy about it. I mean, I don't get it, I guess. I did kind of independent rankings before I got too swept up by the mainstream. And I definitely have him way higher than consensus as a I'd say top seven player if we can throw numbers out there. And I don't see a huge gap, honestly, between him and the I mean, at least the last three guys we mentioned. I'll put him in the ring with Judkins, Henderson, and Harvey because these guys are all easily the best running backs in their room on offenses that have historically kind of been more interested in running than passing. So
Yeah.
give it to me.
Yeah. No, I'm all about this. I'm trying to get two of those four guys and for the belt, most likely is what I would like to do.
Best
We'll
of luck
see.
to you, man.
We'll see what happens. Um, so we've got Bashul Tootin up next in the fourth round, second overall to the Jags. Um, a lot of heat on Etienne getting traded, and if, I think that if that happens
What?
somehow, then this will be a really interesting landing spot. If it doesn't happen, then I think it's a confusing and crowded landing spot.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, let's just call it what it is, man. So we didn't care for Tank Bigsby
Hmm.
rookie year. he was like, "That's right, you shouldn't care for me." Then he comes out in the sophomore year and he's like, "Oh, hey, doing things." And Travis Etienne is just losing kind of the trust of this organization after having a pretty baller 2023. And now we put in Bashul Tutin, who is, the picture of explosiveness. Um, it's hard to really be interested in any of these guys, but if Etienne was out of the picture, I think that Tootin's all steam ahead, he'd be tooting along.
Yeah, if one of these guys goes, I'll be really interested. But until then, I'm not
Right.
super intrigued, especially when the next pick was Cam Scatterbo to the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Tyrone Tracy. I'm sorry.
Oh, he's flushing him, man.
That's just how I
Reddit would
feel.
disagree.
I know. I don't understand. Tyrone Tracy turns 26 by the end of this season. 26
Are you talking
for a
about the
running back.
Purdue wide receiver? Oh, wait, no. This the New York Giants running back?
And does everybody forget that Tyrone Tracy was literally benched last year for fumbling?
No,
Like,
nobody forgot that.
and Cam Scatterbo fumbled 4 times on 294 carries last season. I'm sorry, this guy is going to take New York by storm and be the guy that the fans and the team falls in love with. And Tyrone Tracy is going to end up being the third down, like, passing work guy. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. And yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he doesn't even get that work because Scatterbo is a hell of a receiver. And they've
Yeah.
got the Robinson gentleman who does all kinds of gadget stuff and could probably play that role out of the backfield anyway. So give me that all the way. I think there's a deep conspiracy going on here with the Scatterbo stuff. It's hit the NFL, now it's hit fantasy people. If you are really thinking that this guy isn't going to be the leading producer for the New York Giants in the year 2025, then you have not watched him play football,
Yeah.
period.
Right?
And I don't know, like, I'm so mad at the Chiefs for not picking this guy up.
Mm.
Like, he
Yeah, he
was
would have fit
tumbling
there.
fourth round draft capital for a player like this. Now, I don't know. Is this another one of those deals where like he shouldn't have had a private pro day? He should have just gone out there in the combine or along with the rest of these guys and done a little more. You know what I mean? Maybe that's got something to do with it, but I don't know. This is silly to me. This is a very, very nice landing spot. And it's just silly, 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 silly for the teams that we were all projecting to take a running back to not take a stab at this guy.
Yeah. Very interesting. I was very surprised he kept falling, but I really do think he landed in a great spot. So,
Yep.
next up, we've got a few solid depth picks. I'm just kind of gonna rattle off. If you want to say anything about him, we had Trevor Etienne to the Panthers. Makes sense. With Brooks being hurt. Woody Marks to the Texans. I think that's solid depth, but Mixon is aging, and he's like second on that depth chart already. That's an interesting spot. Jarquez Hunter, I think, could be the value of the draft, going in like third round of rookie drafts, and you never know with the Rams, he could make an impact. Dylan Sampson, a guy we liked a lot, going as like the 12th RB or whatever. I don't know if it's that far, but pretty far down. Also going to the Browns, but I do think, especially when Ford's gone, he'll be like the kind of perfect number two to Judkins. Jordan James to the Niners. I said that I would love Jordan James if he went to like a team like this, and he did. CMC seems healthy, and Garendo's a threat, but James could be a reliable presence in that room. And then Jaden Blue to the Cowboys in a completely open competition. Do you have any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I mean, kind of bottom up those last four. Hunter, big time leaps. Blake Corum. I mean, we've kind of been talking
Yeah.
about the Corum Borum for a while now. Obviously, you got Kyron, which is Kyron. I mean, great. But like you're saying, you can't trust the Rams not to just find gold in the draft and change everyone's perspective on a player. I think Hunter could be that guy. Samson, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I think that there's some opportunity for them to deploy him at the goal line. That's kind of a big deal for him. Um, but then, yeah, Jordan James, love that. Picking that guy up in third rounds all over the nation, maybe late seconds as well, just because the Niners are awesome. And if they get to where they're going full steam, they probably take the heat off of CMC a
Yeah,
little bit if they find a guy they can trust like this. And then Jaden Blue, I think that's just cool. Like we liked him a ton,
yeah.
even though the production profile is limited. He had some explosiveness for the Longhorns last year, and you put him behind Javonte, who has just been the biggest question mark in the world. And it's kind of a perfect situation. Definitely a good um, little gamble to take, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna rattle off just the rest of the names. Stop me if you want to talk about somebody. This is everybody that went from like the fifth round on. You got Giddens to the Colts, Gordon to the Dolphins, Devin Neal to the Saints, Khalil Mullins to the
Mulligan.
Titans. Mulligans, give me a mulligan on that. Taj
Okay.
Brook to the Bengals. Damian Martinez to the Seahawks, Brashard Smith to the Chiefs, Kyle Monangai to the Bears, Ja'Cory Korsky Moret to the Commanders, and then undrafted guys that were notable: Marcus Yarns, undrafted to the Saints, Raheem Sanders, undrafted to the Chargers. You remember that battle we had in our tournament? Both those guys go undrafted, so big
Yep.
bag of nothing. Montreal Johnson undrafted to the Eagles and Donovan Edwards undrafted to the Jets. Any
Good Lord.
thoughts in that group?
Yes, of course I have thoughts, needless thoughts. First of all, I think that Taj Brooks is a sleepy good landing spot with the Bengals. I think Zach Moss could be, swept aside as a number two guy there, and then Samaje Perine is whatever. I mean, he is what he is, but he's not
Yeah.
holding back anyone that comes rising. But you got to be excited about Rashad Smith to the Chiefs a little bit, and the Bears landing spot is juicy. We had some weirdly strange kind of good things to say about Monongai, did we? Or he just got lucky? I mean,
Yeah, he got kind of lucky.
so it's a matter of Roshan Johnson time question mark. It
Yeah.
feels like that's come and gone. So I don't know. You got anything fancy to say about these gentlemen?
Not really. I mean, there's some stabs you can take. Like you said, Brashard Smith, Mononga's got people hot in their pants. And Brooks does make sense as the number two to Chase Brown, but I'm not really hyper in on any of these guys, to be honest. Ollie Gordon's interesting. Not as a fantasy guy, but he adds some power to that Dolphins running room. That was like basically all speed, which I thought was
Yeah,
like an interesting move.
you could see him
Um,
at the goal line big time.
yeah, exactly. So that's something worth keeping an eye on, but nothing I'm gonna go out of my way of. All those guys, if they're available for Fab, maybe I'll go after somebody, but that's it.
Yeah, definitely preseason lookers, and that's where we're at on those.
Yeah. All righty. Well, let's move on to the wide receivers. The first one going off the board was Travis Hunter at the 102. Jags seem to be gearing up to use him on offense primarily at first. At least that's what they're saying. Who knows? It could be GM speak. But they gave up, I don't think you give up a first rounder next year, a second rounder, and only moving up a few spots for just a
For a
corner.
corner,
So I mean, I know they're singing soliloquies about how he's going to change the game of football and everything. Okay, maybe, but they obviously want to use him in some kind of special way. So I think he has to be on the radar.
big time. Yeah, I mean, I'm gearing up to take this guy very seriously. It's been a very long off season for my Travis Hunter takes because I do think he's a special player on the defensive side, like really, really special as a
Uh-huh.
corner. Um, but shit, dude, corners aren't selling newspapers, so the Jags making big, big swings, delightful. I thought it was kind of a weird overpay at first, but then now, what they got a third back and gave a second and next year
Yeah.
first. I mean, it's not that bad if you look at it in a vacuum. Um, it's really a great player, and you had a lot of things to say this time last year about Brian Thomas not really
Mm,
profiling as a number one
yeah.
because he had been playing with Malik Neighbors. So I guess this gives an opportunity for that to be a better situation. I think it gives Brian Thomas a better chance to stabilize his production
Yeah.
from last year
Oh
without
yeah.
getting the attention of the defenses heavily. So that's pretty cool. But I really don't ever like to see back-to-back first round wide receivers on one team. That's kind of weird. Weird
Yeah,
move.
I guess that is interesting. I mean, I was just wrong about Brian Tarvich Jr. Obviously,
I
he
was
looked
not
great.
saying that. I was not saying that.
But I am saying that. So weirdly, another team that went, I believe, back to back first round receivers, right, with
Yeah,
Xavier Legette and then Ted Aroa McMillan, the 1-8 to the Carolina Panthers. I mean,
never a good thing.
he should absorb a monster amount of targets this season, right?
Yeah,
Like he's the best
yeah,
receiver on their team already.
yes. Definitely golden opportunity. Some good stuff coming out from Bryce Young there at the tail
Yeah.
end. It's all green lights. I mean, yeah, a lot of weirdness. I like I said, I did my rankings and then I dove into Reddit just to make sure I wasn't crazy. But then I found the crazy people, and they all were yelling Jalen Coker's name from
Oh,
the
okay.
bleachers, and I was like, okay, this is great for everybody. But I will say, yeah, he has a golden opportunity to, I don't know, be like a top 15 guy year one if he can continue what he was doing in college and just be
Yeah.
like that ball skill end zone, but also good enough speed, kind of slim, big
Hmm.
dude that pulls the ball down. I don't know. It's going to be pretty cool if they can scheme it up to him.
Yeah, and if you give somebody like um Bryce Young who's accurate, a guy with that amount of catch radius, like that's a pretty nasty combination potentially. So I did like
Yeah.
the landing spot. I know some people are down on McMillan. Steve Smith hates him. So
Steve Smith. I've seen it. I've seen some Steve Smith saying good things about him.
oh really? He laughed when the Panthers took him
Okay,
on a live
I
stream.
watched a Steve Smith video on him like several weeks ago,
Oh, okay.
and he tried to be a dick, but then he like ultimately re kind of like walked back some of his previous statements,
Oh, okay.
but maybe he
Gotcha.
just didn't like him at, was he eighth overall?
Yeah,
Yeah.
eighth overall. He probably didn't like him there. Next receiver off the board, Emeka Ibuka, the 19th overall pick.
What the hell?
The more I sit on this one, the more I like it. I hated it at first, but I mean, Godwin was hurt. I do think it's bananas that you like paid him all that money if you're worried about him being hurt. But Mike Evans is getting older. It does mean that McMillan probably might take a little hit here, which sucks because I did think he was playing well. But Emeka Ibuka kind of profiles as a Chris Godwin type, sort of. And I don't know. I kind of think it's going to be one of those like Rome situations where you have to sit on him, and he may not produce like crazy right off rip, but I think in a year or two he could be really spicy.
Yeah, he's a very expensive insurance policy that will mature nicely, you know.
Hmm.
I think this was a great move. I think that, yeah, McMillan could probably still get plenty of usage as well. I just think we're looking at a heavier rotation for the aging and injury prone players on this team. I mean, there's no reason you can't deploy Mike Evans as a specialty player. He takes way too many snaps for a 32-year-old wide
Yeah,
receiver with his skill set. Like you're kind of asking for, you're burning up the last couple wicks on him, and you might as well just save him for the finale. You know what I mean?
yeah. At least let him keep his streak alive, though, 1,000-yard seasons.
I don't know. It's done. It's over
I
after
don't know,
11
man.
years. I guarantee it just doesn't. This pick kind of kills the
They're going
streak.
for the big one too, man. They'll die before they let that streak die.
That
I
was the
think.
saddest catch I've ever seen in my life, but I'm glad he got it.
Next up, super fun for me, the Matthew Golden to the Packers. I see a lot of people talking about how, oh, well, they don't even like to have a number one wide receiver. They do blah, 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 blah. Does everybody
I don't
forget?
want a number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
People are saying that.
Yeah, no, 100%
This
they are.
isn't this
Like
isn't how you win.
saying, I mean, I get they said that last year, but that's because they didn't have one.
Oh my
And
God.
did people forget Devontae Adams was under Matt LaFleur? Like, I guess you could write that off as just being Aaron Rodgers, but is Matthew Golden going to get 150 targets a season? Probably not. But they drafted him to be the guy. He does, he's the best wide receiver in that room, in my opinion, almost already, if not just for sure already. He does everything they need him to do. He does a lot more, and he's the most complete wide receiver, maybe. I mean, outside of Travis Hunter in the draft. I mean, again, bringing up
Well,
Steve Smith, that's what he was saying about him. So it's
he's
not
definitely
just
the
me.
most complete wide receiver in this draft. I mean,
Yeah.
Travis Hunter isn't even completely a wide receiver, you know?
That's fair. Good point. So yeah, I mean, I love the guy. I'm so excited that he's on the Packers. I hate that he picked number 22. Um, it
Ugh.
it drives me insane in a way that I can't describe.
It's
But
really bothering this guy.
yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much. 81 was fine. He picked 81 for well, just stay 81. 81. What's wrong with 81? That's TO. What do we do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Maybe he's taunting the Chargers for not picking him one pick earlier.
I guess so. And also Malik Willis, you're great. It's been cool. Just give him number two. Just give him no, you don't need to be number
Deuces.
two. Like I don't know. It doesn't matter.
You're
But
gonna
yeah.
get yourself a 22 jersey one of these days, and you're gonna be like, it's kind of growing on me,
I
and I
kind
can't
of
wait
dig
for
it.
that day.
Well, when he's scoring
Can't wait for that.
touchdowns and making insane hands catches and everything,
He's
I'm gonna
doing
be
like the gritty with
excited.
the two instead of
The
the three
twos,
for the
yeah.
22. I get it. It's coming.
I won't be upset then. But yeah, I love the pick, love the fit. And I really do think he's going to be the guy. And he's falling down boards too, and I don't understand it. So next up we got Jaden Higgins. Um,
Oof.
the second pick of the second round to the Texans. I love the fit with CJ Stroud, but like, don't they kind of already have Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins?
Yeah, that's true. And this, I mean, the whole thing is muddled, right? You got your Christian Kirk pickup in the
Mm-hmm.
off season. You got like the Tank Dell thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like, sure, he's injured, but when he was healthy, like, you're not going to take him off the field. He was playing
Great.
like at a very high level. So to add Jaden Higgins and anybody that's ever played for Iowa State, joining Xavier Hutchinson and whatnot. It kind of bummed me out. As I think about it, as I'm kind of chilling out on this, I think he's probably shoe in for number two.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a big time possession receiver and really threaten the defense to focus on him in a way that opens up the whole passing game, which kind of took a step back in
Yeah.
Stroud's second season, especially after the Diggs injury. So I think they're probably, I mean, getting Diggs and Dell injured last year and just kind of like disappointing the way
Mm-hmm.
the season ended and petered out, frankly, when you're relying mostly on Mixon. The fact that they went to the well in the trade market, big time in the draft market, I think that they just don't want to ever be in that situation. They had Mechie, that was big draft capital. He's kind of been ramping back up from his health concerns and never really got up to full speed. So I get it. He does kind of shade with Nico a little bit, except Nico can get separation and yards after the catch. Not what Jaden's really known for. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that they could play different roles.
That's fair. And my I guess my only concern here is like your passing game kind of also fell apart because your offensive line sucked and
True.
it still sucks. Like
Yep.
what if they didn't do anything to improve it? In fact, they traded away their starting left tackle.
Guarantee
Um
they win this division.
Probably. I not yeah, that's fair. All right, moving on
unless
to the next
unless
guy.
yeah, unless
Uh,
Travis Hunter can be rookie of the year,
yeah, I
offensive
mean the
rookie of the
Jags
year.
are potentially spicy, but next guy, 2-7, Luther Burden the third for the Chicago Bears. Muddied targets for sure. You got DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Colston Loveland, who we'll talk about in a bit. But he kind of fits really nicely in the slot for the Bears, and I trust um,
Ben
Ben
Johnson.
Johnson to use a smaller, great hands, shifty wide receiver like he did on Raw.
Yeah, I love this dude. I know everyone's mad. They're angry, we'll talk about tight ends later, but dude, yeah, Keenan Allen's gone, like just seems like a good little slot in to replace that movement. I mean, obviously DJ Moore's the one. Rome has whatever potential to be amazing, but I mean, I don't know. He's probably not going to be the top rookie, but I think that he's got a good career coming and he's in a landing spot that I think he's going to probably win over the fans.
Yeah.
Probably win over some Caleb Williams security blanket type work. Um, and his yards after the catch, like just get him the ball and he's gonna go over the top. So I'm excited. I think that he needed to land in a productive offense to really capitalize on his skill set. And he's definitely done that. I mean, projecting here, but should be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I like it more than most people, it seems like as well. So
Yeah,
it just might be another wait and wait type of thing
of,
before he's like immediately
of
super,
course.
super. But I like it a lot. I also like Trey Harris going in the second round to the Los Angeles Chargers. Perfect complement to McConkey, in my opinion.
Sure.
Kind of a bigger body possession guy out on the outside. And I think he's going to feast with Justin Herbert. Obviously, you worry that they're not going to throw that much, and McConkey's going to get his.
No.
So from that angle, kind of scary. But Trey Harris, I think, is he already the two?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be games where he's the reception leader.
Yeah, I imagine
I
so.
mean, yardage wise, I think he's such a dangerous wide receiver with the ball in his hand, and the way he plays, just going to give him unlimited success, in my opinion. This is a really, really, really awesome pair of wide receivers with Lad and Trey. And I do think they're going to pass the ball a ton. I honestly, I think that the Chargers kind of nailed it as far as their
Yeah,
entire draft here. I'm kind of scared, kind of excited. Just going to be fun to watch him. But I think Harris is a guy that I am way higher on probably than most people. So I'm super into most all of these second round wide receivers getting pretty spicy and pretty feisty here.
yeah, I like this landing spot quite a bit for sure. Another one I like a lot is Jack Besh to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's a great pick. A guy who Smith can rely on outside of Myers, and just gives him some attitude out there on the outside. I think he could end up getting peppered with targets. I mean, he's another guy like he got to beat out Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
He did that. He did that by getting drafted. So
Ouch, dude. Trey
like
Tucker's a great football player if anyone wants to trade for him and for the belt.
So another guy that's gonna see consistent targets. I mean, they are probably gonna be a run first team, concerning who they took in the first round. But yeah, I love this pick.
Yeah, I mean, having Genty as the spiciness of this team, just I mean, it just opens up the receiving game in such a big way, and there's no reason he couldn't be a target leader. Obviously balanced with Bauer, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the sky is the limit, but this guy has every opportunity to just rewrite this wide receiver room.
yeah, for sure. Another guy who has an opportunity to rewrite the receiver room that he went to is Kyle Williams to the New England Patriots, third round pick. I think he could be the guy by the end of the season. I don't trust Polk. I don't. I mean, who else is even there? Polk
Uh,
and Javon
Javon
Baker,
Baker, you got
Kayshon Boutte.
Kendrick
Uh,
Bourne,
Kendrick Bourne, like yeah,
Pop Douglas,
Kyle Williams could beat out all those guys easy.
Stephon Diggs.
Well, okay, not Stephon Diggs, but
But I mean, they're slotting in Mac Hollins as a starting wide receiver right now.
yeah.
No thanks, dude. You're good. We're all good here. I don't think Kyle Williams has to play the slot. As far as where he's relegated, I think that he could play opposite of Stephon Diggs and jump out and kick a lot of ass. I love Kyle Williams. I'm not gonna lie. And I love this landing spot. I've kind of been into this wide receiver room the last couple of years because it's been so thirsty. And this guy walks in, and I think he's ready to quench, man. I'm into it.
Okay.
I got
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, I'm into it too. I think I like him in the second round of rookie drafts for sure. I'd like to get me a piece of that.
Second,
Absolutely.
second thought.
Next we had Isaac Tesla to the Detroit Lions. I know nothing about this guy, wasn't in the tournament. He's somebody I'm gonna have to go check on.
Yeah,
I mean, the Lions are good. They
I
have a
checked on him, bro.
great passing game. What do you have to say about him then?
Underwhelming, underproduced,
Oof.
very athletic, kind of very confused by this pick in general.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, the Lions GM did say it was his favorite receiver in the draft.
Oh,
So,
cool, cool, cool,
so,
cool.
so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, my
Uh,
favorite foods aren't healthy, so we'll see. We'll see how this mixes in with everything. I don't think it's a threat to Tim Patrick, to be honest with you. It's kind of
got it.
weird to say that.
It was a weird pick, but hey, you never know. They're just feeling themselves up in Detroit. They can take whoever they want right now, I guess. Next up, a guy you like, Pat Bryan
Yeah.
to the Broncos. I think it's a solid pick.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. I'm trying to like respect the draft capital here because I liked him as a sleeper, kind of like the RJ Harvey thing. And I sent you a joke text so like I'm
Yeah.
secretly the GM of the Broncos now because they're taking all my dudes like 2 rounds too soon. Um, but yeah, Pat Bryant's awesome, and this is another wide receiver room that is waiting for something solid to kind of form. I mean, obviously, Cortland Sutton is playing some of the best football of his career, but we had the Troy Franklin thing that we didn't know what to do with. We get the Marvin Mims thing that is just like feels like a bad fit almost. And then you got your Devon Voulet, which is not something that needs to be real. So, what's up, Pat Bryant? You are a green light all the way to come in and be the number two and just get him through. It feels like a gap year in the wide receiver room here, and he could just fill that gap. But I do think next year he's probably replaced in the draft by someone real. No offense. I like Pat Bryant a ton, but I didn't want him to get this high profile of a landing
Gotcha.
spot or draft capital. It kind of scares me.
Yeah, he feels more like a fourth or fifth round pick to me. Made a little more sense, but I don't hate the fit. Bo Nix needs guys to throw to, and Devon Villay is already gonna retire soon, so you never
His
know.
401k straight out.
Then we had Jalen Noel, a guy we liked a lot, going the third round to the Houston Texans. Uh, kind of everything we already said about the Texans. I do think Christian Kirk kind of might limit him this year, but he does do similar things to Tank Dell potentially, and super explosive,
Yes.
and could be that replacement because unfortunately it seems like Tank Dell's just not going to be able to make it in the NFL. He's
Too small.
been great, but if he keeps getting hurt,
Yeah, and there's a ton of guys that like, especially in the wide receiver room, that we keep having this conversation. Romeo Dobbs is one, Chris Olave is one. Like if these guys can't take the physical nature of the game, then it doesn't matter how talented they are.
yeah, 100%.
And so, I mean, Jalen Noel, yeah, you're right. Like the Texans did very wise long-term planning in the wide receiver draft. I feel like they capitalized on everyone kind of fading the position to a degree.
Yeah.
It's very strange that they have three Iowa State wide receivers on their
It
roster.
was
Like,
weird.
I don't think that's ever happened in history, but they picked some guys that I think that we were very high on in the last kind of few months in the off-season process. So I think they might have got some good value out of these two picks.
Yeah, I think
And
so too.
we're gonna look back and it's gonna be Nico Collins and these guys and if they do address the O line and they can kind of make CJ Stroud's potential a real thing, then there's gonna be big time games for all three of these guys coming to us.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Next up, we went Savion Williams to the Green Bay Packers. This was an interesting pick. It's got people in Green Bay super excited, I can tell you that.
Weird.
They love his versatility, and I think I'm really interested to see how LaFleur is going to use him. I don't know that it'll be consistent enough to be like a fantasy impact, at least not early on. But apparently, this is something I'd have to do some research on. If you look at his uh first couple seasons in TCU, he was used way more outside as a receiver. Apparently, he had 1,600 snaps out wide,
Oh,
and everyone talks about him being just like a gadget player that did all kinds of stuff when he had like 1,600, 53 at quarterback, 53 in the backfield,
whoa.
and then some in line in the slot, but it wasn't
Quarterback.
nearly the number. So I'm interested to see how they're going to use him. Um, and it was interesting to see that they double dipped. It speaks to the fact that either Watson or Dobbs is probably not coming back after the end of this year.
Probably
But
both.
maybe so. But anyway, we don't have to spend a lot of time on that. We are cooking at already an hour, so
Sorry, dude.
no, we're good. We'll try to speed round some of these guys. So I'll do like the next four. Ty Felton to the Vikings, meh. Chimere Dike to the Titans, that's a deep presence for Ward. That's great. Dante Thornton Jr. to the Raiders gives them a deep threat, which is also great. I like that a lot. Arian Smith, your boy, to the Jets.
Yes.
Uh, Probably not going to see a lot of looks with Fields on the field, but you never know. Jalen Lane to the Commanders, and then Jalen Royals to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, so love Royals. Obviously, he's a player. If you guys already are uh, fans, you know that I'm a huge Royals guy. Came out and just crushed it for Utah State, averaging like 140 yards per game or whatever. They got injured, but was able to be healthy enough to run a nice little 40 at the combine. He just chose to prep for the off season instead of coming back after the injury. So I'm into him. I think he slots in a useful way going into the future. There's plenty of opportunities to get on the field in Kansas City as far as our wide receiver room goes.
Yeah.
Won't elaborate there. But I do like Arian Smith quite a bit. When you look at the Jets, they're rolling out like Josh Reynolds, and then Alan Lazard is there.
The
And
Lizard.
then you got Malachi Corley. So I'm looking for like Malachi Corley and Aaron Smith to kind of fight to see who can become a good rotational piece behind Garrett Wilson because I'm not really buying that Reynolds or Lazard are long-term options there.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It's an interesting spot. The Jets are just a big question mark to me, as they have been for centuries. But you
I
never
do like
know.
Thornton though for the Raiders, just
Thornton for
saying.
the Raiders makes a lot of sense. Again, fantasy wise, I'm not sure how much he'll be impactful, but just maybe boomer bust weeks or whatever. Next up, we kind of already talked about him, but Io Manor to the Tennessee Titans. I like that spot for him.
For
He can
sure.
develop slow with Cam Ward. Patience could definitely be rewarded there. Jordan Watkins to the Niners. Lambert Smith to the Chargers. I like this as a sneaky landing spot. Torrey Horton to the Seattle Seahawks. JSN's there, the obvious one, then Cooper Cup, old, and then
Right.
MVS. And that those are the guys that he is behind, really. Everyone else he could definitely beat coming off injury. I think he's a sneaky fun fifth round pick.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. These guys are kind of dice rolls, but he definitely has the potential.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna list the rest of them. Tez Johnson to the Bucks, Ricky White to the Seahawks, Caden Prather to the Bills, Isaiah Bond undrafted completely, hasn't even signed anywhere. Nick Nash undrafted to the Falcons, kind of
Sure.
spicy. Elijah Badger to the Chiefs, Daquan Felton to the Giants, Xavier Restrepo to the Titans. Back with Ward, obviously that 40 did hurt him. Isaiah Nair to the Niners, Kobe Hudson to the Panthers, and Rock Taylor to the Steelers. Just wanted to hit all the guys we had in the tournament. Looks like we should have swapped out some of those wide receivers, but here we are. Any thoughts on that group?
I do like Jimmy Horn, so I'm kind of
Okay.
keeping a half an eye on him. Just probably nothing materializes there, but I like him as a player. The rest of it is, you know, it is what it is. So,
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, we will move on to the tight ends here. Colson Loveland's the first one off the board, 10 overall to the Bears. Ben Johnson obviously has plans for him, taking him this high. And I don't know. I mean,
whatever.
I know he was a guy that we weren't super in on. It may be time to start to get in on him. But I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's one of those like, what do we know kind of things. Like
Yeah.
we have our processes, and I think we're fairly successful on average at identifying things that other people kind of miss and formulating little nuanced insights that are helpful. So that's cool, but it's not 100% ironclad. And you're seeing the Bears go deep on this guy. I'm hearing from folks that I speak to on occasion getting pretty jazzed about him. So go for it. I think that Komet is kind of not the guy I would want behind my rookie tight end
Yeah.
because he's proven that he can be serviceable, especially in a team that doesn't really need an active pass catching tight end, considering the
Hmm.
depth chart and the wide receiver room. But if they're gonna force it to him, then you have to give that some respect and some appreciation. I don't think like draft capital wise that I'm really going in on him. Period. Gonna let myself be wrong on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of personally with you. He'll be one of those guys. If he gets taken, I'll just be like, sick. Thank you. I didn't have to worry about it now, kind of thing. But who knows? Probably be wrong. Next up, Tyler Warren to the Colts. Obviously, we both loved him. He made it super far to the Final Four, I think, in our tournament.
Yeah.
And his only question is who's going to be the QB long term, and are they going to be any good?
Oh yeah, and I'll ask you another question. Like, what pass catchers did the Colts add in the draft? Because I don't think that Alec Pierce and Josh Downs and what Michael Pittman has been recently is enough for an NFL offense. So I think that Tyler Warren gets a big day one utilization
Yeah.
because there was no pass catchers added into this wide receiver room that I thought was in need of something. Obviously, you have to have a pass thrower to utilize catchers, and it's up in the air. But I think that given time and then the potential for a safety blanket with Daniel Jones, we could probably end up just seeing him be. I don't know, man. I think he could be top six year one just because the utilization is going to be out of this world. I think he's getting disrespected because I don't know, because of Richardson or because Loveland went ahead of him. I think this is still the guy to chase in your fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I'm with you. For sure. It just may be a little frustrating at times. Mason Taylor goes next to the New York Jets. We saw Fields love to throw the ball to Komet. So this is a guy I'm more interested in now. I know it was a guy that we weren't hyper in on in the tournament.
Yeah, and yeah, it is. It is probably going to be a good situation for him. Kind of similar to the Warren deal. They need more pass catchers in this offense, so we'll see what Fields can do year one. It just feels like the Jets are totally doomed, and it's hard to get excited about their players.
That's fair. Somebody that I don't think is hard to get excited about. Terrence Ferguson goes in the second round to the Los Angeles Rams. It's kind of Tyler Higbee-ish, but more athletically gifted. And apparently he was Sean McVay's favorite player in the draft.
Well,
So
I'm glad people are getting their favorite players and stuff, man. I'm glad. I'm glad that the coaches are just cherry picking dudes, and it makes sense. The Rams have really kind of been needing an injection of excitement at the tight end position. I think a lot of us in the fantasy community have been anticipating and trying to just make it happen. I've been chasing Rams tight ends for a long time, and I think that this is definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. And
oh
I'm
yeah.
definitely interested. I don't know, dude. He might be creeping in second round for me on some things. I definitely am way in on him more than Mason Taylor at this point, for sure.
I'm with you. I like Ferguson better than Taylor. I like the landing spot. I like the offensive scheme and everything a lot better. So he's a guy I'm definitely in on. Elijah Arroyo goes to the Seahawks. Another great landing spot for a tight end. Not a lot of competition there. The Noah Fant experiment in my mind has to be gone. I know for everybody else it was gone years ago, but I I think this is a fun
Got me.
landing spot.
Yeah, no, it's a great landing spot. I mean, you kind of touched on it when you're talking about the Torrey Horton, but
Mhm.
there's an opportunity for a lot of targets to go around. I really liked Arroyo, and I think that this is definitely going to be a good place for him. We'll see what Sammy can do, getting the ball to him. But I think this is a guy that's probably going to get on the field early. I think AJ Barner had a little bit of puffs of
Mhm.
excitement last year, and I don't think that he can compete with Arroyo. So
No.
it's going to be a guy by the end of the season. I think we're getting regular looks. Definitely roster this dude before
Yeah.
waivers hit.
As long as he's healthy.
Yep.
And then last three here, we got Harold Fannin to the Browns in the third, and Joku makes him have to wait, but that's a good landing spot if you have time to wait. Gunnar Helm to the Titans, big who cares.
No.
And Aronde Gaddison the second, a guy I know you liked, and I put him on here
Yes.
because he did go to the Chargers.
Yeah, and I think that's a great spot. Kind of similar to the Rams tight end room. Kind of been chasing these guys. Will Disley's not really fighting anyone off. And then Tyler Conklin, like we get it, you know. So I think the Gaddison's got his workload kind of carved out. He's probably going to be a guy that's popping little good number games, but probably not going to crack, top 20 tight ends maybe ever. But I do like him as a guy to keep an eye on in case he does get traction.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think he's worth a look and some fab potentially, and especially in deeper leagues. So, well, there you have it. That is our draft recap for the 2025 draft. Sorry, it's a bit long-winded. Hopefully you stayed with us and we may have missed some of your rookie drafts, but hopefully going forward you can use some of our thoughts to snipe our players away from us. Who knows?
Every
But
time, AJ.
but, but until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
I took a lease out